Check, check, testing audio. Okay. All right. So, welcome to Innovation Studio. Our goal for right now, uh, eventually, is to create a 3D model of Newhall 311 that we can use to design our mini lab, our micro lab. So I'm showing you this because this is the model that I've made based on the measurements and the sketches that I did last week. And this is where we're going to get to eventually with all these different walls. And you can see I can uh, show and hide different things so you can see different angles in the sketch, and we'll in the model, and we'll talk about how to keep all of these things organized, things like that. But for now, what we're going to do is create a new design. So you can go up and hit the little plus sign for a new design. And actually, before you do that, want to go into your account and into preferences, and it'll pull up a dialog box. Do this before you start a new design. And go down to default units here and go to design and make sure default units for new design is in inches. I usually like to do things in metric when I can, but in this case we're doing architectural design and we've been using inches, so we're going to stick with inches. So I already had it set up for that, so that's good. So this is my new design. And by the way, what we are aiming for right now is to make this sketch, which is basically just a plan view of the shape of the room. And if I go in here to edit sketch, you can see it's got different measurements all in it. And it's you can see by the little red padlock icon here that it is a fully constrained sketch. So our goal for today is just to get this, get your paper sketch, which you probably have in your sketchbook, and it probably looks something like this, paper sketch. And we're going to take the paper sketch and we're going to digitize it, including all of the appropriate constraints and dimensions so that it's a fully constrained sketch. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. And so I'm gonna take my paper sketch and I'm gonna have it right on the desk in front of me. And by the way, one thing I highly recommend is to use a mouse for any CAD work. So you can pause the video and come get a mouse if you don't have one already. It just is a much more effective and fast way of interacting with a 3D model than the trackpad is. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do, the very first thing is I'm going to save my design. And I'm going to call this 311 North, and this for me is take 3. Call it Newhall 311 North, take 3. For you, you could just leave off the take 3, just say Newhall 311 North. So there's the very first thing I do is I save it, and that way it's always saved in my data panel here. And you can see there it is, take 3. So always start by saving your design, because I know a lot of people hadn't saved their designs when we did the nameplates, and it tripped us up later. All right, then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on the component tree here, and I'm going to say new component. All right, and I'm going to call this 311 North. Just this is going to be sort of the main component that everything else stems from. That's just good practice. All right, then I'm going to open it up with the little show hide triangle here. I am going to show the origin. All right, and the origin is it's like the XYZ 0. It's like the point. It's the point that shows you where everything else sort of starts from. And I'm going to do my sketch on this plane here. All right, it's the sort of the bottom plane, like the flat plane. It's called the XY plane because it doesn't have a Z component. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to do create sketch. All right, and I've got this. Now I'm in the sketching menu. All right, I can show the sketch here. And this sketch I'm going to call floor plan base. So that's like the base sketch. And I'm going to start off, I'm just going to do, I'm going to start with a line. So I'm going to come up here, grab the line tool, and I'm going to click on the origin to start it. Okay, and I've got my line here, and I'm going to go along here, and I'm going to click. Okay, and then I'm going to hit the check mark. All right, so this is my first line. This is for the length of the room, and this is going to be, this is where the door is, okay? This is the corner where the door is. So I'm going to hit the dimension tool. I'm going to pull out a dimension here, and this is 3.1 inches, which is way too small, so I'm going to do I'm going to pull from my paper sketch, and I'm going to put 214 inches. All right, and now if I zoom out, you can see, okay, there's my 214 inches. If I hit escape, I can take this dimension, I can pull it aside a little bit. All right, great. So there's the first thing. Now I'm just going to do, now that I have one line that's dimensioned, I'm going to just roughly sketch the shape of the rest of the room. All right, from my paper sketch. I'm going to ignore the windows for now. Those will come in later. So I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to come over here, all right, and that is going to come to about there, all right, and then we're going to bring in here for those two little lines. Those are for these two little lines here that I just did are for the column that comes out, all right. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to come all the way back down to the red line, go like that, all right. Come over here. I'm just clicking for each of these little walls, and I'm being careful not to accidentally click the little green arrow, because if I click that green arrow there, it's going to finish, and I don't want to finish just yet. So go like this, and you don't have to worry about the sizes or keep getting the dimensions exactly right, because we're going to dimension it and constrain it in a minute. So and then I'm going to go back. There we go, and we've got our rough shape of our room. Okay, and you can see the icon here now has a little pencil in it, meaning that this is not constrained, meaning that we can edit it. All right, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to start adding some dimensions. Okay, this line here, from my drawing, I get 193 inches. All right, and you can see that brought that a little bit farther. And then I had, and that brought this one farther out than this, but that's okay because I also am going to dimension this. We'll go like that, and that was 204 inches. So now there's our little bump out again. Now you can see this is still blue because it's not constrained. Because I can move it in this direction. I can't move it in this direction. I can't move it side to side because this is constrained and this is constrained, but I can move it up and down. So what I'm going to come in to do to constrain that is just grab my dimension tool, hit escape a couple times, grab my dimension tool, pull this here, and this was 13 inches, which is actually almost what it was there. But now you can see it's turned black. It's fully constrained, which is great. We always want our sketches to be fully constrained whenever possible. All right, now we got a bunch of blue stuff down here that's not constrained yet. So we're going to come in here and start doing this. I'm going to hit D for dimension and escape to get off that little line. D for dimension. I'm going to get this, and we're going to hit 44. That's what I have in my, actually I've got 43 in my drawing. So there's 43. And then I could dimension this 43, which is what I have in my drawing, and I could dimension this 43. But a rule of thumb is if you can get by with using constraints instead of dimensions, that's even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and this and this, and they are all going to be equal. All right. And let's see, I've got also Okay, so that's the other thing is this is not constrained yet because it can move up and down. So that's the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and this and this. I'm holding shift, by the way, to select multiple things. And this, all right? And I'm going to say these are collinear. They're all in a line. Boom. Okay, so now this is constrained. That's great. All right, now I've got my collinear constraints, so I'm going to use these again for these little short lengths of the wall. So there's that one, and that one, and that one. And let's see if that did it or not. Looks like it didn't quite take. So, oh, but it did take with these two. So let's go again. I'm holding shift, I'm selecting these two, and we're going to say collinear. All right. Now I'm going to grab a constraint here, or a dimension rather. So I hit D. We'll grab this. This is 36 inches. Boom. And then this was 5 inches. All right. You can see things are turning black. They're more and more constrained. You go select this and this and this, and these are all going to be equal. They're all 5 inches. Boom. Okay, and now they've all turned black, and I've used a relatively few dimensions. And you can see here I've got my little red padlock, which means that um, my sketch is fully constrained. All right, there's one more thing I'm going to put on this floor plan sketch, and it's the door. And so I'm going to put the door in, and then then we'll be done for today. And we'll come in next week, and we'll put in the walls. So the door uh, is a 36-inch door width. It's in this area here, and I'm going to grab the line tool, and I'm going to make a 5-inch line here, all right, and then a 36-inch line here, right, and I'm just going to drop these dimensions. I'm just pulling these dimensions down below so they're sort of out of the way. And then this last dimension from here to here should be 19. Great. And if I try to put it in, it will tell me it's a driven dimension, and I don't actually need to put in a driven dimension. I could hit cancel, but I'll say okay, and we'll put it in there. And these parentheses mean, hey, that's a driven dimension. You can't actually adjust that, but you'll see if I adjust this one, then it adjusts that one. So there's our this length from here to here is our doorway. And then to actually put in a door, I'm going to hit R for the rectangle tool. I'm going to hit X to make it a construction line. All right. I actually just clicked here. You can hit X and it'll toggle that on and off. All right. And that's going to make it so that it doesn't actually make a hard shape. It just makes like sort of a guideline. And I'm going to go to this point here, and I'm going to put in my door, and it's 36 inches by 2 inches thick. All right, so there's my door swung out into the room. And then the last thing I'm going to make is an arc that shows the sweep of the door. And this is the center point arc, so I'll grab that. I still got my construction line toggled on, which is good. So here's the center point, this corner of the door, and make sure it's this and not this. It's this corner of the door. I'll click once there. I'll click once at the edge of the door, and then I'll swing the arc down and click this point here. All right, and I'm going to hit escape, and you can see there's one thing challenge here is this is orange. This orange line is a construction line that is not fully constrained, and you'll see if I click and drag on it, yeah, you can see the center of it moves around, and we don't want that. We want it to be fully constrained, and so I'm going to just leave the center there. And I'm going to hold shift and click this point here. All right, we've got those two selected, they're both blue, and I'm going to hit the coincident constraint. Boom, fully constrained, and there is our red padlock. So this is what we're trying to get to today. Um, this is the goal, is to get this uh, sketch digitized. This should look roughly like what you had drawn out by hand. Um, Please raise your hand. Let me know if you get stuck anywhere. I'll be walking around helping out, and I think I may also be walking around doing some Arduino prep work for the lab. And then I'll be making another video, I believe, to help us bring in the walls and fill out the rest of this space, so that we actually wind up with something that looks like this. Right? All right. So here's what we're aiming for today. All right. Let me know if you have questions.